Hello, I'm Glenn W. Hunter, and with me is James Dat Yoga Dude Woods, and of course, Shor Denny. And we're here representing TIPS, i.e.,
Yeah.
TIPS is Trauma Informed Prevention Services of the Inland Empire. And what we're here to talk about, well, quite frankly, is a number of issues, social emotional learning type items that are plaguing our community. And we're bringing great minds, we're bringing great people together as we're just solving problems, observing what's happening in the community and ways to not just make a difference, but make an improvement using assorted skills that you'll find as we go in deeper. So to jump right in to demonstrate those assorted skills, I'd like to bring in Shore right away because one of the things she wanted to talk about is the trauma that our youth are experiencing primarily because of the environment we're in right now in the Inland Empire and nationwide with regards to pandemics and riots and looters. And how do we heal and how do we get moving in a positive direction? So sure, with that on your plate,
I'm like, all of that.
what are you seeing, really with families and youth that you get to interact with in terms of how they're managing the trauma that's around them right now?
Wow, the trauma that's around them right now is uh, it's buried and it's layered, right? There's a lot going on. We started out in this quarantine session with tips. We started talking about quarantine, COVID-19, the laws, all of that that is related to it, and how we can mentally be well at the same time. But now we've just added a whole nother factor with protesting that's been going out. So not only are our youth, they've been sequestered or in prison for 3 months. They are now going out into a society where they have to be masked and are looking at adults in masks. And then they're seeing the violence that's going on and the burst of energy that is happening. And unfortunately, that energy is negative. I think that right now, our youth, what we need to do is we as adults need to calm down and we need to look at all of the dimensions and look at the causes instead of trying to wrap everything up in the symptom, right? The symptom right now is burning buildings, right? The symptom right now is anger and shouting, and the symptoms right now are the fear of the disease and death. So we have to counter that with some coping skills. We're going to have to use a lot of the great skills that James is going to bring in, and we're going to have to look at seeking safety. How can we feel safe again? Or at least find some semblance of safety so we can begin to heal, I think would be the trauma-informed way of looking at this. What techniques that can we use in a prevention atmosphere to heal and to prevent further trauma? James, what do you?
I definitely, this is not the first time that we have had violence amongst Black people in the community at the hands of police, period. We know that. We've been through this circus before. I think the COVID and the quarantine gave everybody a deeper look at it. I've not had more white women call and check on me ever in my life. I have now. Non-Black people and just say, are you okay? What's going on? What can I do? What can I support? How can I support? And I think one of the things is because people had a chance to sit down, the whole world had to sit down, we had to sit down together. It made me think about it as like a substance abuse problem when somebody had to go to rehab. And then the first thing that came out of rehab was something that made them that they wanted to be comforted with. Sometimes that bad person, sometimes going back to that drug. And the most profound drug of America is violence against Black people. And that's the first thing that we went back to, is the thing that comforted us after we went through a quarantine situation. We get out of rehab, we go back and we get on the substance that we hooked to, we're addicted to, that America has been founded on. But this time, everybody's like, nah, this ain't right. Like, we just got out of this time alone. We was able to think, we was able to get more in touch with ourselves. We was able to stop running around. This is wrong. So to see the reaction to it, I have so many mixed feelings, and I have so many different things that I want to tell my nephews, my godsons, the black men and the black people in my life. But I also have more, a little bit more hope. The frustration of like, dang, again, we've been through this again. But this time, like I said, people had some time to really look and like, this is not right. We got to do something about this. And we need to do something like this. This is probably one of the deepest seeds of trauma that we have felt as a collective country around these incidences, not because of it's just this time, but because it's this time on top of all this. And then we have a leader who is not coming up and saying, oh, this is wrong. We have a leader who is not providing some support and not providing any anything that can really add to the collection and the coming together of our country. Someone could say he's adding a little bit more fuel to the fire. And when you have even more internet access, where people have more cameras out, you see the bricks being put there, see everything being exposed. It's so many different levels of trauma that's going on. It's hard for us to explain it to people, the kids. It really is a place where all we can do is really say, I got you. I'm here with you. I'm at least here with you. And we could talk about some more skills of how we could take care of ourselves. And we are going to talk about that. But I wanted to understand why this one triggered me, how it did. Previously, when the man Ahmad was shot for running, I was triggered because, like I just talked about, I run. I like to go running on Mondays. Okay, I put my life at risk. I already know that, me being a black male, to put my life at risk. But then this one coming right after it, on top of the white woman who they label Karen, talking about, I'm going to call the police on you and they're going to murder you. So it's like, man, we just got out of rehab. We all just chilled down, everybody healing, and we go back to this. This is crazy. This is ridiculous. So I think we have an opportunity here, sadly to say, to really look at our trauma for what it is. Not just blame, oh, the alt-right over there or the liberals over there. Like, nah, we got a problem. We got something to look at here. And I think we have that opportunity, and I hope we take it in a direction. I know we will. We're gonna take it in a direction of healing and facing what we dealing with here.
Definitely.
One of the things that I have found looking at the current environment, which makes this particular ride a little bit more unique than others, is that the shift has moved from a demographic perspective to a psychographic perspective.
Mm-hmm.
People are aligning by behaviors, and consequently, you are seeing different races complaining or looting or protesting against law enforcement. They're saying that this is an opportunity for you to do the right thing, because now you're imposing a violent mindset in our community, not just so much based on race, but now someone that I can identify with. Maybe
Right.
someone that's taken one of your classes, James, and
Right.
learning how to center themselves better through yoga.
Right.
That's not just a racial thing or an ethnic thing. That is a human being who's willing to improve around other human beings because they've progressed to that. You watch our youth,
Right.
and you find that they're more easily, not just more easily able to integrate as you see them on this playground, but the fact that they interact with each other through technology so seamlessly as well.
Right.
So when someone actually breaks the mores of that group by being ethnically ugly, you may be corrected by someone of your own ethnicity or someone from across the railroad tracks.
Right.
Accountability comes in from the human experience. What makes this particularly painful, I think the COVID-19 actually reinforced the human experience because it is happening across lines. Data is showing that it's skewing more African-American now, but initially it seemed to be pretty democratic. But what we're seeing now is that accountability is coming more from the behaviors of what we want our community to represent. And I think that in itself gives us a cause for hope, even though the violence continues and definitely the looting does.
And right, we went through a civil war in this country where people have two different opposing sides, a lot of it based on economics, but I feel like we're moving more into a morality split here, where we're going into this is right and this is wrong. Economics has a big part to play in it too. But like you said, with the internet, we have more exposure. Like, hey, I bought his mixtape, or I seen in his house. I got to know him through his YouTube page. And you telling me you felt like this man was a threat? We still have that old paradigm of white supremacy and black men being violent and sexually aggressive and thugs and criminals, but it's starting to die out because children are having more interaction with each other. Like you said, we have more educated people, higher educated people now than any other time before. And these educated people are still mad with the government and with systems itself because we have a whole bunch of student loans, and
Woo!
that communication degree is getting me a job posting on Facebook, and it's not paying the bills right now. So I'm mad. And you're going to tell me you're going to kill this black man just for being a man? So the sense of morality and the sense of humanity is ever present right now. And like you said, when we had that time to sit with it, we had the time to get online and be like, oh, okay, these are people's lives and these are people I feel connected to. I may have never met them before, but I know black people are not all the same. I know white people are not all the same. And now I have this knowledge, but you still trying to tell me that it's not like that because you telling me that when you shoot a black man, it's okay because all black men are criminals, all black men are thugs. And we're not standing with that.
I think that the video,
Mm-hmm.
the picture
Mm-hmm.
was very traumatic. I don't know if I will be the same since I saw that man with his knee on the other man. We can put color to it or not, but one human
Right.
was that brutal to another. And then when we saw the other view, we saw that there were other humans on top of the human that was pinned down. In fact, 3 humans were on top of this man. And when you saw that, and then he spoke, right? I mean, if this is not trauma at a deep level, that man called out for his mother. When you see that, and we saw it over and over and over and over again, we are all traumatized. We are dealing with community trauma. We may deal with it in different ways. Some of us are going to deal with the fight and flight of it, right? Some of us are going to stand and fight in this trauma. Some are going to run and hide, right? We're going to have people doing different things right now. And I think the key that we need to know is that what the pandemic showed was that we're all human. What it showed was that we have vulnerabilities, right? As a whole, as a race of humans, the Homo sapien, not as a race of black or white. What we saw is that in all of our pain, there is still enough hatred of a fellow human for them to blatantly, in front of cameras, pin that human being like that. The youth that saw that, the youth that are going to see that, and the conversations that are going to come from that picture of those human beings is the scar. We can narrate it, and we can write it, and we can say, you know, we can do the riots, and we can burn, and we can be angry, and we can yell. But there is a scar right now that all of us have had. Some of us are going to take it internally, and it's going to harden us even more. It's going to make us not trust, you know, outside even more. Some of us are taking this chance to come together. We're seeing across Facebook and in the protest this mass of understanding and empathy of people coming together for the human right, not for black people, not for brown people, but because we are human. And I think that that is the main thing to get out of this, is the human element, that a human did that to a fellow human.
And sure, you talked about fight or flight, and it's heavy. And I know I've had moments, not even this time, in previous times as well, where I wanted to jump into a flight position of just being numb, try not to feel it, try not to acknowledge it, steering away from it. And I want to know from you, like, what does it look like for you to fight? What does it look like for you to be in fight mode? And I think a lot of people are asking that question. They taking it to the streets and protesting and rioting. But what does it look like for you, Shor, to fight at this time?
It's these podcasts right now. It's my way of fighting, of getting the
Mhm.
word out from people that are going to say things that may not be exactly what society wants to hear, right? We're at a time right now. I've been talking with some gentlemen, and people are still worried about getting fed. You know, we're worried about
Right.
getting grants. You're worried about your job. People are still worried. So we're still hindered. We're still shackled in a sense. What is fight for me? It's trying to awaken people, and mainly to awaken non-Black people.
Right.
To me, the fight is the cultural sensitivity trainings that I do and the trauma-informed training that I do, so that I can show people the hurt and help them understand the harm. When they take an ACE test, when a Caucasian person takes the ACE test, and we find out that Caucasians have it bad too, right? That's why this whole thing set off. But when we find one that has a 7 and they're able to sit and relate and see the history of a brown person with a 7, and understand that the only difference is the fact that the system treated them better. The only difference between our two lives is that one was born white and one was born Black. It builds an empathy, it builds a coalition, it helps people understand the hurt, the vulnerabilities, and the humanistic parts of us. So my fight is to show our humanness. There are a lot of things. I was at it's a Black owned site, you know, all this stuff is coming up, and it said, register your Black business. So I went to register my business and noticed that on my, when you pull it off the link, off the internet, I have Hispanic people on my website page. And I had to sit there for a second and go, oh no, am I representing myself or misrepresenting, or will I get something for being Black because I work with others, right? I think we need to stop. I think that the funding needs to stop. I think that we as mental health providers coming together on tips, that our job is to show them that we all work together, that not one discipline is over another, that all
You
have
said the funding needs to stop?
the what?
You said the funding needs to stop?
No,
I was like, hold up. Hold up now.
no, we need the funding. The fact that we need to bow for the funding,
Yes,
right?
indeed.
The fact that our voices are closed.
Yes,
the fact
indeed.
that we're not able to stand fully because we're afraid that it's going to take something from
Yeah.
us, right? When I talk with people, I say, what are we fighting for?
Right.
Is it my niece has 3 jobs. Am I fighting right now so that she can continue to be hungry and to have 3 jobs to just make it, for her child to not be able to have school clothes, but she's working 3 jobs?
Right,
You know,
right.
is that what I'm fighting for? Am I fighting for my student loan that is so huge, that if I do not get it paid off, it will be my child's debt? Am I paying to keep that? Is that what I'm fighting for? I mean, am I fighting to keep that? I think that we need to understand what is in this game. I am here fighting for the dream. I want free or affordable education. I'm in this fight. I'm fighting for a wealth tax. I'm in this fight. I'm fighting for equality across the board, breaking down the systematic, the whole system that started with slavery, went through Jim Crow, did not end in 1964, no matter what they say, because there's still redlining and all of the rest. My fight is to awaken the other people, those who have not lived it, so that they can have a better understanding of it, to make awareness, knowledge of the real story of 1619, of the real fact that a slave was not born, a slave was made from law.
Right.
The real facts.
It is
my fight.
It is, and I agree with you on the fight, because I do not want to be fighting for white guilt to try to just get more white guilt. Oh, that's no. And especially when we're talking about trauma, understanding this is all traumatizing for everybody on different levels. So I'm not trying to appeal to white guilt or even white morality or white humanity, whatever. This is, like you said, it's a human thing, and we all have suffered a sense of trauma through these experiences that we have been through. And at the end of the day, I'm with I need to fight for something that I know it can bring a sense of equality and humanity to it. Martin Luther King, he was marching for jobs. Martin Luther King was marching for the stop of Vietnam, stopping for trash workers to have equal pay, marching for to boycott. It was like a purpose. So, you know, a lot of times, like I said before, I would be highly irritated and frustrated out there if I was protesting to get across the point to somebody that I'm a human being and I deserve to live. That's just very frustrating to me. I need something. I need a concrete thing. So, and Glenn, how do you fight, man? Because before how do you fight, Glenn?
You know, I think it's important to fight with the tools that we're given.
Yeah.
I'm a little long in the tooth, so I'm not going to put my fist up and try and defend myself. You know, I'll find someone younger to try and defend for me. But I do think it's important to bring awareness. It's important to attack the right brain so that we're not being emotional, we're not being reactive. Let's literally understand what we're doing. And if you choose to be racist, or you choose to be violent, or you choose to be irrational, understand you're making that choice and there are consequences to it. So I find my way of fighting through vehicles like the podcast, through vehicles like my blog, through vehicles like the training when I have chances to work with high school students or college students.
That's right.
So the idea is to approach them in a way that, one, people are comfortable receiving the information, and a lot of that is just style and presentation. But two, giving them the opportunity to own better decisions, to own healthier choices. So when someone comes to you, James, and said, gee, I need to be more in tune with taking better care of myself physically, I want them to be able to say that decision was an intelligent decision, and now I'm getting multiple benefits from it. But I think that if we're neglecting that part of the equation, then we're doomed to repeat the catastrophes we're experiencing in this generation.
Right.
Think of it from a Southern California perspective. It's been nearly 30 years since we've had a major riot. And that's nowhere near long enough. But you think of other countries and other tussles that happen internationally, and they're going at it every 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that we're better. I'm saying that we have to hold ourselves accountable to using what we have to continue to encourage our progress. And I think,
That's
you know,
right.
bringing it all the way home to trauma, if we are communicating and we are passing on lessons and we are embracing, that will minimize trauma, because now there's a sense of calm and rationality to the decisions that our young people make.
Yeah.
And also to the lessons that our teachers are giving them as they're working their way and finding their identity.
That's right. I agree. These are just aesthetics. Those are for prettiness. I'm not putting those on nobody. So if I'm punching somebody, it's going to be with a purpose. It's going to be with a program. It's going to be with passion. It's going to be with me sitting with the young man and giving him conversation around how he can embrace his blackness, embrace his whiteness, whatever, without it being a racial thing. I'm fighting for the last 4 years in Million Man Meditation, an event where we getting together and we're going to heal. We're going to focus on healing more than anything as a solution. Anytime I do something, I'm stepping into a place, I'm stepping in as that yoga dude, as in, hey, I'm a Black man and I'm focusing on healing. I'm focusing on these practices. That's where the focus is. This is where the traumas and this is where the scars have brought me. So this allows you to come to this place as well too. And that is the fight that I come into it with, because like you said, those are the things that I have been blessed with to come into the place and share my tools in this way. So this is my fight, and this is what I have to give.
Let me add on, using the Million Man Meditation, as a club in this battle we're talking about. Club is something to
Hmm.
beat with.
Hmm.
One of the things I think that's incredibly powerful that you're able to demonstrate through that program, through that event, is the multiple generations that come. You have an
That's right.
opportunity in the fashion of a griot speaking to young men, and in many cases, young ladies will come in
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
But they're speaking directly to our youth from a position of maturity and strength in terms of improving themselves, not just physically, but mentally as well. And
Right.
I think that seed, as it continues to be watered, is going to help us be more purposeful in growing a stronger community. And
Yeah.
I think, particularly here in the Inland Empire, with the resources we have, the population growth we have, the land we have available, that type of
That's real.
intelligent growth is going to help us thrive where we continue to see Los Angeles burning again.
Mm.
There's a freshness to what's happening here where there's less generational guilt because you have so many families who are here in their second generation and not necessarily ancient generations. But we're
Right.
able to have a freshness to that. And if we're intentional, that will help our youth be empowered to determine a stronger community for them to grow up in and hopefully raise their families in.
Hmm. That's real. That's why we do it. That's like I said, I started about 4 years ago because of the shooting of an innocent black man, and I did not know what to do with the anger and the frustration that I had. And I spoke with elders in the community, Miss Jennifer, and other elders in the community. Rest in peace, Dr. Abdul Amin. And they gave me support and they gave me guidance, and I used it in this way. And so it's important for me to offer that. Like I said, I'm not a rah rah rah. That's just not me. But let's talk about how we can heal after you finish rah rah rah. All the warriors, after they finish fighting, they got to come back home and heal. Let's put some programs for them to heal and deal with the trauma that has occurred. So
I'm
So
looking
Shor,
at
let's bring us home on that very point of the warriors coming back, not just needing healing, but being able to push through the trauma they've endured to contribute, because that's at the heart of what you're doing in developing our young people.
we're looking at how do we not have it start? How do we know the premise is that everyone's been harmed. Everyone's going to be harmed. Something's going to happen to you in your life. But how are you going to cope with that? And that's what we do. We try to teach our youth different skills, life skills that they can use to prepare them for those times of disappointment. That's by teaching them the opposite, right? For them to be able to deal with disappointment, they have to know what it is to succeed. That you have to understand that there's no problem with failing. Failing is okay. You can't succeed without a failure. The different things that we need to instill in our youth, that culturally that we're all the same. We do different programs and activities. We do the human knot to see how individuals, do team building and work together. We do stepping stones where you help people help each other to get through things. Building community service so that our youth understand their value within the community, how they are needed, how each one of us is needed within our community to make a community work. All of these things that we do with the Community Now program get plugged in, help build our youth so that when times like this happen, they're able to problem solve, they're able to think critically and see what is going on, knowing that culturally we are the same, because we've taught them that there we have more similarities than differences, right? And that those differences are not even differences of race or culture, they're differences of more personality. So what our key is to teach our youth that we are all the same, that again, we are a human race. That's what we are. And then to give them the coping skills that they need to deal with those different challenges that they're going to go through, so that when things happen again, they're prepared, they have that safety tip or that coping skill in their pocket, and they can pull it out and use it. So definitely.
I think that is a great place for us to land, developing coping skills, putting them to use, minimizing trauma, using the tools, expanding physically, expanding mentally. It's going to be systematic, but I think it's important that we become successful at that. And I'm happy to see that TIPS is articulating these challenges and meeting them by being involved in the community, connecting with different groups and leaders, and making sure that these attitudes and these ideas are reaching our youth. Trauma-informed prevention services of the Inland Empire.
Whoop, whoop.
Together, we share, we hope we inspire, we hope that there's action in conjunction with what we're doing in terms of improving our youth and preparing them better for being more functional, more successful. Again, we have James, that yoga dude, Woods with us, Miss Shor Denny, and I'm Glenn W. Hunter. We look forward to talking to you again very soon and just continuing to help our people just be better citizens. And I have to end this with my rallying cry.
Wait, I want to say, if you like us, subscribe, like us, share us, please. Let's keep this conversation going. This is a conversation we want you to have in your home, with your friends, and in your community. So, and if you believe in what we're saying, donate. Go to communitynow.info, drop $1 or $2. Let us know that you're there with us as we try to be the strength and show education and power and support for the things that are going on and trying to stay mentally well.
That's right. And just check out thatyogadude.com. That Yoga Dude across all social medias. We'll keep you updated on the Feel Free and on the Million Man Meditation.
And I will part with us reminding you, be safe. Thank you.
Peace.